Welcome back. Elon Musk's DOGE, that's the Department of Government Efficiency, has asserted that fraud exists and might even be rampant within the Social Security Administration. New reporting, however, from Wired magazine shows that might not be the case. Musk has said that it's possible, and this was kind of a lurid and very cliquey accusation, someone maybe could be 150 years old, living in America and receiving Social Security benefits. Wired magazine's reporting tells us that it could be something much more tame. Computer system, one that's very, very old, might actually be to blame. Well, to learn more about all of this, David Gilbert joins us now. He is a reporter at Wired. He covers disinformation and online extremism, comes to us via Zoom from Ireland. David, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Walk us through what is more likely than not the explanation for this false claim that someone's 150 years old, living in America, and getting a Social Security check.
Yeah, it seems pretty unbelievable on its face. And when you look at the systems that those engineers went in and took a look at, these are systems that have been built over decades. They are hugely complex. They are built in large part using a 60-year-old programming language called COBOL, which most of the DOGE engineers, who are some of them in their teens, most of them in their early 20s, would probably never have heard of. And so what seems to have happened is that those engineers have gone into these databases of Social Security beneficiaries and seen the fact that there are listings for people who are, 120 years old, 130, 140, 150 years old, and pulled those out and put them in a spreadsheet, gave it to Elon Musk, and he tweeted it out claiming that there are tens of millions of people over the age of 100 who are claiming Social Security benefit. And if you talk to anyone who has worked in these systems, they say that's just not true. There was a 2023 report from the Inspector General that highlighted this exact issue, but said that 98% of the people on the list were not receiving benefits. So it comes down to, I think, a fact that these engineers who are gone in there just do not understand the systems that they have been given access to.
And David, I sometimes delight in getting into very nerdy details. So you mentioned COBOL. There's a date that is important in COBOL language, 1875, and it may be at the heart of this misunderstanding about what these age representations are in this Social Security database. True?
It's hard to say. So COBOL is the programming language, and it does not have a date type. So there is no way of, or kind of standard way of putting in a date in COBOL. That's true. Now, what some computer programmers have said to me is that when you implement a system like this with no date type, what you do is you put in an epoch, which means a start date effectively. And 1875 is the date that they believe that the Social Security Administration put in this system, so that when missing data or incomplete data is put into the system, it defaults the birth date to 1875. And if you do the math, then it's 2025 now, so that anyone who has a missing or incomplete birth date will be turning 150 this year. Now, to be clear, a lot of other computer programmers are saying that's not exactly the case, that COBOL doesn't have 1875 built into it, and that certainly is the case, but we just don't know exactly how it works because these systems are quite opaque and have been, as I said, built up over decades, and so it's hard to know exactly what is happening here. But what we do know for sure is that there is no one over the age of 150 or at the age of 150 who is receiving Social Security benefits in the U.S. today.
And David, the larger point here is to the DOGE engineers who are younger, very technically experienced, but they might not, or they clearly are not experienced with these underlying data systems within some of these agencies, and they may not understand what they're looking at.
That is exactly the case. And I think that is the real worry here, is that they have been given administrator access to a lot of these systems. In some cases, they've been given read-write access, which means that they can manipulate the information. Even though DOGE and the White House initially said that that wasn't the case, we've now seen in court cases where they've had to admit that at least temporarily, in some cases, they have been given this access. And by being given this access, and we don't know, or we haven't been told what they're doing with this information, whether they are copying it, whether they are taking it out of one of these agencies and moving it to another agency. We simply don't know. And for all the talk of this being the most transparent government in the world from Donald Trump and from Elon Musk, the reality is that there is a lot going on within these agencies right now, especially with this hugely sensitive data, that we just don't know what's happening.
Access does not always yield understanding. David Gilbert with Wired, thank you very much.